Hi, it's Tom Westcott with Westcott Martial Arts Academy, and welcome to Motivation Monday. Today we're going to look at a quote by Gordon Treadgold, and he says, "Strength comes from overcoming adversity, not avoiding it." Look, we all face adversity, but it's how we deal with the adversity that determines our destiny. You can run from adversity, you could let it conquer you, or you could face it head on and overcome it. 28 years ago, I was training to qualify for the U.S. Olympic team. The Olympics were being hosted by South Korea, and my master instructor was instrumental in getting Taekwondo into the Olympics as an exhibition sport for the first time. At the time, I was at the top of my game. I had trained for 7 years leading up to this moment, and even though I was still in my teens, I was teaching classes on my own. I was teaching adults. I had trained under some of the top masters and competitors in the country at the time. It was a perfect time for me. I was at the right age to compete in the Olympics. Everything was going great. And then it happened. Adversity. I was testing for rank when my master asked me to perform a jump reverse side kick. I had misheard him and I did a jump spin, and he asked me to do it again, this time make it a reverse. And as I was midway through the jump spin, I tried to stop my motion by planting my post leg, my left leg, down to stop my rotation. The problem was I was rotating too fast, I was rotating too hard, and as my left foot hit the ground and planted, trying to stop my rotation, my upper body continued to spin. And as my left foot stayed still and my upper body spun, I torqued my knee. And as my knee gave way, I could feel my femur separate from my tibia, and the two bones passed each other as my femur hit the ground. It made such a loud popping sound that people on the other side of the school could hear it over the class that was going on, and they came running to see what had happened. My master rushed over, and he quickly lifted my leg. I couldn't feel it, I couldn't move it at all. And he pulled the shin back into alignment with my thigh, and that's when the pain just shot through my body. The doctors at the time concluded that I had torn my ACL, stretched my MCL. It wouldn't be until years later, with the advent of the MRI, that I would know the full extent of my cartilage damage as well. But back then, unless you were in professional sports, they didn't recommend reconstructive surgery. The procedure had a long recovery, the success rate was low. The recommendation at the time was build the leg muscles around the joint to compensate for the weakened ligaments. This was a long process. It wasn't a perfect solution. I wound up losing about 6 months just getting to the point where I could straighten my knee and put full pressure on my leg and walk normally. I had lost the opportunity to compete in the Olympics. I wound up watching the opening ceremonies from home with mixed emotions. I wanted to experience what it would have been like to have been there, but at the same time I was devastated to miss what I had worked so hard to achieve. There were times I thought about quitting Taekwondo. I mean, how could I kick the way I used to if I couldn't jump on that weakened knee, or I couldn't turn or pivot on that weakened knee? This was a kicking sport, for goodness sakes. But I wound up pushing through. I used the leg press at the high school gym and got to the point where I was pressing about 500 pounds. My knee dislocated dozens of times during the next few years, but I still continued to train. I wound up learning how to compensate for the weakened knee while sparring, while doing forms, how to do jump and spin kicks to avoid re-injuring the knee. And while I wasn't back to normal by any means, I had improved in some areas. Because I couldn't do some things with that leg, my other leg became stronger and faster. And because I had to be careful pivoting, I learned how to get faster with my number one kicks. And 28 years later, I'm still kicking. My body learned how to compensate for the weakness by strengthening the other muscles and improving other techniques to compensate. But more importantly, I learned the importance of perseverance, not letting myself be consumed by the adversity. Now I own a school and have the opportunity and the honor of impacting and inspiring hundreds of people in our community through martial arts. So my hope is that when you hit your next adversity in life, that you push through and overcome it, and years from now, you too will be able to help and inspire others with the strength that you've gained through your perseverance.